worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. Big King Sadiq hollering at you one more again. All right. This video we're going to entitle Accessing the Akash. All right. So I have done videos previously on this subject or aspects of it, right? Call this a quick refresh, right? Not really. I was just thinking about it in a different light, from a different perspective, right? So what got me on the subject this morning in my early, or pardon me, not morning, don't really like that term, this early phase of the day, right, in the AM, I was just sort of pondering our tendencies as human beings, right? And some of the things, or rather some of the ways that I think we sleep on ourselves, right? We really don't give ourselves credit. We don't give ourselves credit for all the beautiful, incredible things about us, even just as we are, right? Without any awakening or enlightenment of any sort, just being a human being, right? We don't have to be arrogant to appreciate ourselves, right? In fact, it's not arrogance at all. It's gratitude to our Creator for creating us so splendidly, right? So we really don't notice also some of the, hey, peace, love, respect. We don't notice some of the abilities we have, or even more interesting, we utilize certain abilities and don't realize it. And I believe that accessing the Akash is one of those things that would fit into that category. So, all right. You know how a certain piece of information or subject or something is brought to your attention. You may be discussing something and all of a sudden it'll click to you, right? It'll just sort of make sense. All right. Well, what is that? Really, what is that? We could give all sorts of physiological explanations about how we have, neurons firing, and when you access a certain neural pathway, you'll get a certain, let's look at it differently. How about the fact that something clicks is actually when something is familiar to you on some level, or some aspect of it is familiar to you, or that you are recollecting some aspect of what you're discussing, or recognizing some aspect of what you're discussing, or in other words, you remember, right? Just a bit, you recall. And that recollection is you drawing from or accessing the Akash, right? So, folks, observation is something that is continual. Observation never stops, right? Universal observation, if we want to make that a term, is certainly something that never stops. It may change greatly in perspective depending on who it is that's doing the observing, right? But it's always happening. Something is always observing something else. And given the fact that we are all one energy, universal observation is always happening. All right. That's how the Akash works. Everything that has happened, everything that has been discovered, learned, right? All of our human experiences here on this planet have been observed by someone, something, right? In some way, some form, has been observed. All right? That observation is on some level recording. Previous videos we talked about how DNA, in fact, is perhaps the most incredible means for facilitating memory, right? It's one of the most incredible modes of recording and transferring, relaying information, right? The amount of information stored in our DNA is so vast we couldn't correctly fathom it, right? This is how the Akash works, right? And the Akash is accessed through your DNA, right? Because, again, we are all one. And from another of my recent videos, we always have multiple perspectives from which to draw information that we've observed, right? Now, most often, we are used to recollecting information that we have collected with the five senses we're typically used to utilizing, right? But that's not our only means of observation. Indeed, every cell in our bodies is observing in one way or another, one form of another, always, right? Perfect example of what I mean. We may look at a room or walk into a room and look around, and yes, that's stimuli that your eyes are processing for recollection and recording. However, every cell in your body is affected by that room in one way or another. If you walk from one room into another room, that new room that you walk in does not have the exact same temperature. There's some difference, right? So, your skin, your epidermis, recognizes, whether you do on a conscious level of processing or not, right? Your skin cells recognize that change in temperature thus are observing that new room you've entered into. So in some way, you're always observing, you're always taking in stimuli. That's just one example, right? It's just one small example. There's so, think of the trillions of cells that make up your body, and the trillions of ways that we are affected and impacted by our environments. All these things we record, we recollect, we add them to our Akash, right? All people are doing this always in every lifetime that they live, adding to the Akash. All beings are doing this every day of every lifetime that they live, adding to the Akash. So you start to see all the incredible amounts and the incredible various sources of input, of data that is collected and added to the Akash. We are all one energy. We are a part of the same energy of all the different energies, of all the different entities, of all the different beings, of all the different lives. We are all of the same energy. We are in fact all a part of a collective consciousness, right? Right? We are all a part of a collective field of consciousness, or awareness may be a more comfortable or apt term to use here. We are all part of one unified field of awareness. It is in this unified field that we generally find our way to access the Akash. Usually we end up doing it accidentally, right? Or we do it in ways that we don't actually perceive on our quote-unquote conscious level, right? And you get things like deja vu, right? You get things like deja vu, where you feel like you have been in a certain place or situation or event before, and it's familiar to you. Why? Because you have experienced it before in some lifetime, on some level, or even if it was another being or another energy, could have been a plant that it was there. Whatever provided the stimuli, again, we are all of one energy and one field of consciousness or awareness. So you access it. Folks, process what I'm saying, how incredible and important that is. I'm saying to you, we feel like there's so many answers that we're lacking. We feel like we're so lost and in the dark at times, only because we don't realize, we don't explore, we don't master our ability to access the Akash, right? We only let it happen accidentally. But then again, you're talking about the same species that has grown comfortable with walking around accepting that we only use a small portion of our potential. Let's think, folks. Should we be comfortable with that? What product do you buy? Go home, unwrap it, take it out of the box, and it only works 30% of its potential, of what it was created to do. And you're fine with it. None. Any product gives you that sort of performance, you're probably throwing it against the wall or ready to run back and take it back and get your money back, right? You're never going to be satisfied with that. So why are we satisfied with that of ourselves? And why are we satisfied with feeling like we don't have any of the answers? You have all the answers, right? Whatever answers you seek, if you look within and access the Akash. This is what folks are referring to when they say looking within, right? And you know what? Quite honestly, again, this is another example of something we just do and don't pay attention to. If you ever stop and ponder any subject, right, you generally come up with some form of an answer. The problem is many times we get so lazy, have gotten so lazy as a species, we don't want to think about things. We don't want to stop and ponder a subject for any given length of time. We just want the answer. We want to look it up, boom, okay, I got it now, I'm done, I'm on to other things. But we don't tend to want to go through that process of discovery. That process that we utilize when we look within, when we ponder, when we meditate, right? You meditate on a subject, I guarantee you, something's really, really tugging at you, is something that you like to know or learn, or you feel like you want more experience on a certain subject. Meditate on it. If that's too formal of a term, just stop and ponder on it for a moment. Think about it for a while. Sit down, right? Get quiet, get still, right? Turn off all of the outside stimuli. Put the phone down for a minute, right? And think. Ponder. Go in the woods or something. We're in a nice tranquil area. Go in a quiet, calm room. But get still and think and ponder on it. And I guarantee you're going to come up with something substantial to give you some light on it. You may not have a complete understanding, definition, or like a grasp on it that you like and be satisfied with. Okay, I know everything about it, but you're going to get something, which if you do a little investigation, it'll lead you to more. And eventually you're going to end up saying, you know what, wow, that's what that was all about. And that process of discovering the answer, that first morsel of information came from within you. You're selling yourselves short, folks. We've been selling ourselves short for a long time, and we got to stop these tendencies, these habits. Everything that shrinks us, everything that makes us smaller, everything that makes us dependent, right, on some outside source, force, or power. Everything that works against our sovereignty, we got to let it go. And that includes that clueless feeling, right? We don't have to have that clueless feeling, because we're not clueless. We got more than a clue. We got the Akash, right? Stop, get still, think about it, and I guarantee you, you'll gain some perspective. You'll tap into things that you didn't even realize you knew at least a little something about, right? Our potential is so vast and great, we need to focus on it. I talk all the time, folks, about how the socioeconomic elite want to keep our pineals calcified, right? They want us to stay in a fearful, low vibratory state. There's a reason for all this, right? Beside their own myopic, selfish, sick needs, it's the best way for them to keep us down, to keep us in a state by which the masses can easily be subjugated and controlled, is to keep us knowing as less about ourselves as possible. Because the more you know about yourself, the more you realize how incredibly powerful you are yourself. Know thyself. You don't need a savior. You are your savior. And that's what they don't want you to know. You don't have to wander around searching for a guru or someone to enlighten you. You can enlighten yourself. One of the gurus we always point to is Buddha, right? Gautama. Well, great example. What did he do? He went, he sat himself down, he got still, and he thought, and he pondered, and he looked within. Just saying. It's a pattern here, right? We can all do that, folks. All of the great sages and prophets and all the great people that we look to in our past, right, as examples and shining examples of what human beings can be, are just that, examples of what you in fact can be, of what you are. Don't sell yourself short. You can do it. You do know. You just got to think about it for a while. You know how when sometimes older folks, they'll be talking about something, they'll say, oh, I forgot, wait, it'll come to me. And sure enough, in a little while, you know, maybe 2-3 minutes later, they'll be like, oh, I meant to say that such and such, and they remember. It's just like that. If you stop and you ponder and you give it deep introspective thought, you will remember, and it will come to you, because you've had it all along. You just have to tap into your Akash, find out, right? So, don't sell yourself short. If you want to call it meditating, deep thought, being still, chilling out, whatever. Get in the habit of pondering whatever it is you want to know. And start there in your search for light. Start here, within. Then get other perspectives from the exterior and see what makes sense. See what you remember, see what you recognize, see what's familiar, see what you can tap into by accessing the Akash. Remember, that's just the Akashic record. The other side of the Akash that deals with possibility and its infinite variables and variations. You can tap into that too. You add to that constantly as you make a choice every day. We are incredible creations indeed, folks. Right? I remember in my circle in the up top cipher, right? We used to always talk about never neglecting the blessings. A phrase from one of the songs my man Logic had made, right? Never neglect the blessings. One of the greatest ways that we can neglect a blessing or not be grateful for a blessing is to deny the blessing, right? To act like we didn't receive it, to not acknowledge that we have received it, and to not utilize it. You have been blessed to be an incredible, multi-dimensional creator being. It's what you are. It's what we all are. It's time to act like it. That's all I'm saying. They can't hold us back, folk. I'm trying to tell you, we already won. Just start using these tools more and more every day. Let yourself open up and flower and be your best self. It's right there for you to claim it, right? We can all claim it. I'm trying to claim mine. I love you all. Thank you. Worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. Big King Sadiq. I'm out.